Alright guys, welcome back to the second part of our little music player project. Today we'll be working on the JavaScript and Anime.js for both the animations and functionality. Quickly before we start, quick shout out to the designer of this actual music player. He also implemented some interactions into his dribble shot. Make sure to check him out, link is in the description. Also, what we're going to be working on today specifically will be the cover animation that you can see and the play pause button, as well as functionality like changing the artist and the title, and also going back to the first element of the list once we're finished and once we've reached the last item there. So let's go, let's not waste any more time, let's get to the code. So what I did here is first of all include our scripts, so the main JavaScript file and also a Anime.js CDN here. And obviously the first thing we got to do is as always document.add event listener DOM content loaded, event listener, and we're listening for DOM content loaded. That's just to make sure that everything is loaded when we start to mess around with our JavaScript. Let's test if our file is recognized. Alright, awesome. CodeKit is making some problem. Let's just tell it not to compile our stuff there. Alright. And user message test. Alright, that's working. So first thing we'll need to do is select a few elements. So this will include obviously our forward button. We will also need our backward button. Other than that, there is the song titles, of course, and the let's see, artist title. Let's just call it artist title. Oh man. Why is this thing so annoying? Okay. Artist title. So what we'll do here is say document.querySelector to select our HTML element, and we will just go for the class forward button. That's our class right there, whoops. And we will do the same for the others as well. So let's just copy and paste that in here. We will need backward here. Backward. This is going to be dot title wrapper. And we are specifically looking for the H1 here. Let's check it out in the HTML. Oh man, CodeKit, what's going on? Let's just... Why is it even looking at this file? Let's just quit CodeKit and open it up again. There we go. Let's see. Okay, so we're looking at title wrapper H1, that's the song title, and title wrapper H2 will be the artist title. So we will just copy that and paste it in here and change that into H2. Alright, so we got our, oh my god. Why is it, yes, lint, yeah, you are not supposed to lint this stuff. This file, when it changes, only the file that info. First of all, we do not need a minified version of that, so let's just remove that. And we also want you to ignore it, god damn it. Ignore. Holy. There we go. That should be it. Okay. So we selected our elements. Next thing we're gonna do is create an array of the controls, because we want to add event listeners to those. So what we'll do is say let control array, and yes, let's use our brackets, and we will just say forward button and backward button. Whoops. So that's our array. Next thing we're gonna do is add event listeners to controls, and we are also going to call some functions. The way we're going to do this is simply by saying controls array dot for each to loop through them, and we're going to say for each control we want something to happen. That's our function there, and we want each control to have a event listener added, and this event listener is looking for a click event and calling a function again. Pretty simple. Next thing we're going to implement is a switch statement, because based on whether we click forward or backward, we want different functions to be called. So switch control, and first case will obviously be our forward button, and the second case will be our backward button. Now, what do we want to do if the forward button is clicked? We want to call a function that's called next song, because obviously that makes sense. And we're going to write this function later, and in case we click the backward button, we want another function to be called, which is called previous song. And again, break the switch there. So that's it for our switch statement. Oh my god, why is this? Okay. I don't get it. Wait. Okay. So next thing we're gonna do is create two other arrays for the song titles and the artist titles. So we're gonna just say for the comment music information. And the first array is gonna consist of our songs, and the second one will be for our artists, just like that. And I'm just going to copy. Oh my god, I'm getting crazy. What's going on? Let's see. Give me a second there. Okay. I'm just going to copy my array. You can obviously use whatever songs you want, whatever titles you want. Just copy something in. And oh my god. Okay, looks like we have to fix this now. Why is it annoying me so much right now? Yeah, no, we don't want this to happen. We also actually don't want this to be compiled. We don't want you to check our JavaScript file. It's fine. What the fuck? tools, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's just remove this project and let's add a new one. Should be documents, GitHub, and simply look for music player, add that in here. Okay, JavaScript should be ignored. So let's see. Again, we gotta paste something in there. And this, oh my god, it's still popping up. And these are the according artists. So if you have a song here for number 0, you'll also have, or index number 0, you'll also have the according artist there. So this one goes with this and this with this. This is something you have to make sure. Other than that, that is pretty simple as well. Now, oh god, guys, okay, let me just stop the recording. I'll make sure to make this thing stop. Alright guys, I think we're finally good. I just added this line on top of the file ESLint disable. I'm not sure whether it works or not, but I think we're not getting any messages from CodeKit anymore, so let's just continue with our work here. So we have defined these two arrays. The next thing we want to do is set some initial values for the title and the artist, or at least the song number. Actually, we have not defined the song number yet, but okay. Let's just write a comment first. So set initial song number and also load in animation. So these are two things we want to do. First of all, we want to create a new variable which we will call song number. We will need the song number to define the cover that we want to show and also the current title that we want to show. You can imagine the song number to represent the index of one of these arrays. So if this is 0, we know that we want to have this artist and this title displayed. If it's like a 3, that would be 0, 1, 2, 3. So it would be this title and this artist alongside it. So that's why we need a number for that, and we'll just set it to 2 for now because we want to display the third song inside of this array. So that would be this song alongside this artist. You could also set it to 0 if you want to. And what we also want to do is set songtitle.innerHTML to song array, and then we will define an index which will be our song number. So song number represents 2, and we're looking at the song array with an index of 2, so that would be this song, and this artist. We will define the artist later on. And we are looking at the song title inner HTML. So the song title is something we've selected here. So essentially what we're doing is taking the song title and filling it out with a value from the array. Let's see if that works. Yeah, it works, right? Yeah. We have something else standing here, Colombiana, and it's replacing that. So what we can do here now is clear that up as well, because it's now getting replaced by JavaScript. Obviously the artist is still wrong. It should be this artist right here, but we'll work on that later on. Something I'd like to add right now as well is a kind of load in animation. So what we'll simply say is Anime.js targets will be dot, and actually this is also the part where we should, let's just comment that out, where we should give our covers a second class name. So what we want to do is have each cover represent one of the songs. So we'll simply take cover 1, look at the wrapper, and we'll give it a class name that represents exactly the value that we have standing in the array. So that would simply be the song titles. Let me just speed that up a little bit and just copy those things in there. There we go. So what I've done here is I've taken, for example, the second cover and just added the name of the title to the wrapper of that cover. I did that for all of those, and this way we can differentiate between these different covers. And this way we also have a reference to the array. So what we want to do is say animate, and now we can select this specific cover of this song. So what we can say now is dot and then the title name. And this will select our cover right here. It's this one. All right. Next thing we need to do is just define the animation. So what we want to do is scale from 1 or 0.8, 0.8 to 1.1. And we want to use a specific easing function. Ease out expo is what I like, and we can also set a duration to a little longer than a second. So that's our load in function, basically, just an easy scale up animation. All right, so that's that. Next thing we need to do is skip. Actually, okay, there's nothing happening to the buttons, obviously. So let's just define these two functions, the next song function and the previous song function. Let's start off with the first one. Let's just write a comment of what we're doing here. Let's not do that. Let's first write the functions. Next song is what we want to define first. So something we have to look for is the possibility of having reached the end of the array, which would be this element right here, which has an index of 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we want something specific to happen if we're at the end of the list. We want our list to basically scroll back to the first element. So what we need to do is check for that situation by saying if song number equals 4. We want to do something specific. In this case, we want to reset our song number to 0. So we're going to the first element of the array again. And we also want to call a function that we call setSong. We'll define that later on as well. And also, if we reach the end of the function, we want a certain animation to be played that basically just scrolls back this whole row of covers to the first element. What I found to work here is just a simple animate function, the comment animate to first cover when end of song array is reached. This is exactly what we're doing. We're taking the cover row, which is this wrapper of the covers basically, and we are translating X to 510 pixels. That will basically be the first element of the cover wrapper there, and using simple ease out expo function. All right, so this is our if statement, but we also need an else statement here. So if that's not the case, what do we want to do? So if we're not at the end of the array, we are probably somewhere before that. So either we are looking at 0, 1, 2, or 3. In that case, we simply want to increase song number by 1. This is how we do that. We simply want to go to the next song. So we increase our song number there. And again, after that has happened, we want to set our song This is the function that we're still going to write. And we also need to call another function that I just called scale cover down next. And this was kind of the difficulty that I ran into. So what we need to do when we skip a song or we go backwards is, first of all, we need to scale up the cover that's currently being looked at, and we also need to scale down the cover that has been looked at before. So imagine we're clicking next, we would have to enlarge this cover and scale down this one. That's what we're doing here. Set song will set the title and the artist and also scale up the current cover, and scale cover down next will scale down the previous cover. Basically, I called it next because that's the function we're calling when we're calling next song function, so clicking the forwards button, and the other function will be called scale cover down previous, and that's going to be called when we click the backwards button. I hope that's somewhat clear. If not, we'll still define those functions. Maybe it gets clearer then. And well, if we're not at the end of the list, we simply add one, we set song, we scale the cover down. And what we also want to do is again define a function that I simply copy here. And this function is simply going to move to the next cover. So what we're doing here is selecting cover row again and translating x minus 255 pixels. I just took the width of the cover row, which you can see when you inspect that element. That's 1275 pixels, and I divided that by 5 because we have 5 covers in there, and that's a value of 255 pixels. And we want to subtract that from the current value, and that will basically move the cover row to the left when we click the forwards button, and basically bring us to the next cover. Let's just deselect that. Does it work already? No, it does not. Why does it not work yet? Let's see. Well, obviously because we didn't define those things yet. So that's what we're going to do next. Or actually, because it's quite similar, we can just copy our next song function. Remember, next song is what we are calling when we're clicking the forward button. When we click the backward button, we call previous song, and we will define previous song now. So simply rename the function here. Again, if we are now clicking the previous button, we also have to look out for a special situation, and that would be when we're at the beginning of the array. So if we are at song number 0, that means if we're looking at the very first title in our array, we actually do not want anything to happen. Do nothing when previous is clicked at beginning of list. So that's why we're not writing any code there. Other than that, if we're not at the beginning of the list and we're clicking backwards, we obviously want to subtract 1 from our song number. We want to set song again. We want to scale cover down previous in this case, because we want to scale down the cover that has been scaled up before. And we also need an animate function, but in this case it will be plus 255 pixels to move it to the left. Okay, so that's that. I think this part will get a little clearer once we've defined the other functions. So let's write our set song function. So what will set song do? Set song will simply, first of all, replace the title and the artist with the correct title and artist that we're currently looking at. So what we're doing is say song title dot inner HTML equals song array, and then the song number there. And as you can see, the song number is getting modified here and here, depending on whether we clicked forwards or backwards. So this is kind of the trick behind it. What we also want to set is, we can just copy that there, copy and paste song title. No, not song title in this case. In this case, we're looking at artist title. Inner HTML will be set to artist array. Good, that's that. And what set song is also going to do is scale up the current cover. So the way we do that is again defining an Anime.js animation. And what we're doing here is looking for the targets. And in this case, we are inserting song array.song number, which will equal the corresponding song title. So you can imagine these titles to be inserted in here with a dot. So we're looking at a class name, and these class names correspond to the individual covers here. This is why we defined the classes there, because now we can target the specific cover that we are actually currently looking at. So that's how this is working. Other than that, it's a simple scale up, duration, easing. That's it. Probably won't work yet. Well, you can see that this cover is scaling up, but other than that, it's not working because we still need to write a couple things. So the next thing we want to do is, actually, let's just add a comment here as well, just to keep things clear. So set song, information, and cover as well. So we're setting the song information and we're setting the cover. Now, next thing we want to define is, because we are calling set song here, set song there, and the scale cover down next and scale cover down previous are other functions that we need to define. So what we're doing is again say function and scale cover down next. And then we'll have to define a new variable for the song that has been previously looked at, so we know which cover it is that we need to scale down. So previous song number, and we can simply get this number by saying song number, so the current one that we're looking at, and subtract it by 1. This will be the previous cover. And then we simply need an Anime.js function again. I'll just copy that in here again. That's a little quicker. So the target we're looking at now is song array.previous song number. So if we are looking at the song Money Honey Drip, the previous song number will be Colombiana, because that's the song that has been looked at before that, or that has been played before that. That means this one will be scaled up, and this one will now be scaled up if we click the forwards button, and we have to scale this one down. So this is what we're doing. We're setting the scale back to 1 and simple easing and duration. Because again, you're looking at set song. Set song is taking the current cover and scaling it up, and scale cover down next will take the previous song and scale it down, because these are two things we need to do. We need to scale up the one and scale down the other. Now we can copy that function again, paste it in here, and just rename it to scale cover down previous. So in case we are clicking the previous button, the backwards button, we need to look at the next song. So the song on the right hand side of the cover that has been played, and we'll simply do that by adding 1 to the song number, and this will simply be changed into next song number, and that's it. Now if we did everything correctly, this should be working now. Boom, there we go. So now you can see what I was talking about. When we click the forwards button, the pink cover here will be scaled up and the green one will be scaled down. And this is what we're doing with the scale cover down next and scale cover down previous are scaling our covers down depending on whether we clicked forwards or backwards. And this simple set song function is just scaling up the cover that we're currently looking at. So now if we click backwards, you can see this cover is being scaled down again and this one is being scaled up again. So scale cover down previous has done that and set song. Yeah. Also, you can see the cover row being moved. So these are actually two animations at the same time. So first of all, the cover row is being moved, and then the individual cover is also being scaled up. So that's what's happening here and here. That's moving the cover forwards and backwards. Now, this is also working if we have reached the end of our covers. So if this case is true, song number equals 4, we're resetting it to 0, we're setting the song again, and we are moving the cover row back to its initial place for the first cover. Boom, there we go. Also, the titles and the artist is getting replaced, just as we've set it up in our set song function. This is what this functionality is doing. So basically, we got everything to work except for the play pause button. We still need to define a simple animation for that. And let me just see if we've defined the style here already. Yeah, we have. So we have our play icon and we have the .paused class for it. Now, if we take a look and add paused in here, you can see we're getting our paused icon. So the only thing we need to do is define in our JavaScript that we want to toggle this class on click. Play pause button, let play button equals document dot query selector dot play button is the class. Play button. There we go. Actually, we don't need to define a variable there. We can just do document dot query selector dot play button dot add event listener, and we are looking for click, running an arrow function there. Whoops. Arrow function there, and simply say, oh, sorry guys, we actually need to define the variable there. So this is what we're doing, and then play button dot add event listener, again looking for click, executing a function there, and this function will take play button dot class list. So we're looking at the classes and we want to toggle something, and what we want to toggle here is the paused class. So when we click on it, if it has the pause class, it will remove it. If it doesn't have the pause class, it will add the pause class there. So let's just see if this is working. It is not. Okay, great. Let's see, what error are we getting? Add event listener of null. Okay. Dot play button, play button, play button. Yeah, I think we play icon. Yeah, play icon should be the class, not play button. Let's see. Awesome. So our play pause button is also changing. That works. Nice. This is also working. Great. Alright guys, I think we're done with that. I hope I was not all over the place throughout this whole video. I hope you guys could understand a few things here and there. If you learned something, definitely make sure to subscribe, like, and comment down below if you have any questions or suggestions, as always. Other than that, have a nice day, and we'll see each other in the next video. Bye!